you. My name is Bernie Jackets. I'm a member of David Walters Yacht Sales Bosgraaf Division. Okay, this is my good friend Carl, who just sailed in from Bermuda, and he's the owner of this beautiful Paradise 60 named Morning Star. If you look at offshore vessels, this is probably the most unbelievable offshore vessel that this broker has ever seen, having been on many boats, having sold 800 plus boats, and having owned 15 boats already and sailing many miles. Everything on this boat is purpose and detail. Everything is there for a reason. It's safety first, safety last, and safety always. Thank you, sir. Carl is the mastermind of this boat. Everything has been built, like I said, for purpose, and everything is for ease of sailing, comfortability, swiftness, and every sea condition possible. Every piece of equipment on this boat is of the highest magnitude that's possible to incorporate in today's society. The vessel is made for speed, comfort again, and as you see, the clean foredecks, the pilot house, everything on this boat works as good as it can do. So if you are interested to see this boat, please do call me. I would love to show you this boat. You can always reach me at bernie@davidwaltersyachts.com or 443-742-1792. This guy is a mastermind and a genius and a love of fine objects, as you see. So Carl, what do you think?
Well, thank you very much, Bernie. Those are kind words. And I think the boat speaks for itself. So we invite you to come and have a look and enjoy what Morning Star is all about. So when you're at the helm in Morning Star, the view is wide open. There are trade-offs, and the pilot house being high and you can't see over it, but you can see around it very clearly. And the benefit of that is that when you're in the pilot house, which is where we spend most of our time, you have a great view. But back here at the wheel, the boat is easy to operate. You can see well forward. The bimini top is inboard. It's a hard top a little bit so that you can actually see the sails. And you can sit right here comfortably and see your sail trim and do what you want to do with your sail trim. We have a main sheet, which is a continuous sheet. It runs from here up through the roll bar and over to the other side with a continuous sheet. The forward winch here, we can use that for the code 0 or the sheet for the staysail or anything else that comes with it that we need it for. The main winch here is a 68 Anderson. All the winches are Anderson winches, and it's a hydraulic winch. Most of the winches are hydraulic except for these two here, which are manual, because you got to do something out here. You can't have push button everything. At the console here, and the port and starboard are identical to each other. We have the power for the winch, high speed and low speed being right here. As you sit down, you can control the trim of the boat. We have the red button here for furling the headsail on the Reckman, and the green. So red to stop, green to go. The bow thruster is a retractable bow thruster that drops out right out through the front. We control it here. And the twin engines are controlled from either port or starboard here on electronic throttles. And there's also an electronic throttle in the forepeak of the boat that you can pull up out of the hatch and stand on the forepeak of the boat and operate the boat with the twin engines forward, neutral, and reverse. So you can really dock the boat or take it to a mooring and be right up there with the boat hook by yourself. It is an easy boat to sail by yourself. I've sailed many miles on it by myself, and in some strange places like the English Channel, one of the most busiest places in the world, and I went right along without a problem at all. Stern here we have 5 lockers. There are 5 lockers here. Under each cushion is a locker, and this is a watertight area for storage, and the 2 lockers, the high ones, are gas lockers for outboard gas or paints or flammable materials. And then we have a lifting device, something like a davit on the back end here, and that is basically so the wife can get me out of water should I fall over. We hook a halyard onto it, it has a boom on it, and it's all ready to go when we go on the ocean to keep the boat safe and to get me back on board, hopefully. show you the pilot house on Morningstar. This area here is ergonomically designed to step out and not bump your head, and then it's really easy to access the pilot house. Step up and push down, and we're in. As you enter the pilot house to the port here, you can see we have a on-watch chair, and the really cool thing about this chair is it does a little this to keep you on the level keel as we go along. Everything you need is right here in the instrument panel for the pilot house. We have 3 autopilots, one 24 volt, 2 12 volt. The 24 volt is hydraulic, the 12 volts are mechanical to keep the system separate to keep it safe. We have power steering, so we can steer the boat from here with a joystick. Obviously we can operate the engines from up in here, and we have a 36-mile B&G 36-mile range radar, which is attached to the mast on a gimbal, so it will gimbal as the boat leans over. We use this one mostly all the time because it burns very little power, and we use it all the time at night for sure as our primary radar. We do have a radar plotter on the starboard side from Furuno, and it's a 72-mile range radar, so if the seagulls have any lead pellets in them, we will see them as they come by, and it's the antenna for it is on the aft end above the davit that you saw a little while ago. Here to the starboard side is a great place to sit, eat, play, and have a good time, and also sleep. And it has a lee cloth, so if I'm off watch and the wife is on watch, I can get my rest and be right next to her here if that makes her comfortable when we're close to land or in a seaway, which is uncomfortable. This pilot house is very spacious, very airy. There are 3 opening hatches. This one here opens aft, so when it really is inclement weather, the sea won't come in so quickly because it doesn't face forward. The back of the pilot house here has 2 removable windows or ports, if you want to call them. They remove, and you can do it with one hand. There's no pins to pull out. They're designed to just snap right out. And this is a watertight compartment, so if you break any of this glass, which is 5/8 of an inch thick, there are water drains here through standpipes in the bottom of the boat and fiddles that drop in, and this here pulls back and allows you to lock off this area should you break a piece of glass and keep the boat safe. As I say, the boat has 4 watertight compartments, and this one would be a 5th. Well, this is the main salon. As you can see, it is light and airy. And the design of the boat a lot was around the visual effects inside the boat. The settee on the starboard side here is a berth and has lee cloths, and very comfortable for relaxing and enjoying company. As you go forward, you can see one of our watertight doors, which we'll talk about later. But on the port side of the boat here, we have our main settee with the table, which we spend time eating and enjoying life. And but again, it's very light and airy. The teak beams you see running through the boat are all part of the structure of the boat, and the idea was to try and make the boat look like it was a wooden ship, back to the old days. As we go aft, you can see the nav desk with a very unique storage area for all the things navigational. There is a ship's computer and the digital electrical system for the ship. The nav desk is very comfortable on the seaway. The chair will hold you in very nicely. The galley is obviously a very important area of the boat. Good food, happy crew. You can see we have an electric stove, and on Morningstar it's all about safety first, safety last, and safety always. And we have a massive battery bank, so we can cook without even cranking up the generator. And in the galley you can see that we have a fridge, freezer, top loaders, and the fridge being accessible from an aft door so that the food doesn't fall out. The sink is deep with drain again on either tack, doesn't matter. Microwave, And then some of the controls for the boat, tankage, temperatures for freezer and fridge, and operating the water maker. And it's a very comfortable, safe galley with lots of great kind of space for working on the ocean. And might note the 4-inch fiddles, which you don't find on very many ocean-going boats, but this one has 4-inch fiddles to keep you safe, keep everything where it belongs, and makes life in the galley very comfortable. In this area here, we have a hanging locker, unusually low. That's to keep the weight down, so we can't store anything up high. It also opens this up so that it's a nice airy area. As you walk through, there's lots of light. As you can see, all the furniture in the forward master suite is down low to keep, again, that weight down, because this is a blue water sailing boat and we want it to be as upright as much as possible. The lamps are really cool. I know it's a little tedious thing to show you, but watch this one. And we can plug that in several areas of the boat. Just a little neat trick we have here. The forward cabin is DC air conditioned, so when you're on the hook, you don't have to have the generator on, and you can have a nice cool cabin. And of course the first fresh breeze comes in through the forward end of the boat, keeping it nice and cool. So this is the head in the forward cabin area. As you can see, it's light and airy, and certainly easy to maintain and keep clean. And there are a couple of neat little things in this head. One of them is that the shower floor drains on any tack. And if you've been sailing, you know, taking a shower may end up being bailing the shower out, and that'll drain on any tack. So will this area right here, can be washed with the shower head. The head itself is a vacuum flush. Push the button and it all goes away with fresh water. And then the towel rack is something that, of course, we keep the ladies happy with warm towels as they enjoy their sail. And then we have the sink, which is custom made, and again, it'll drain on any tack. And the forward head also has ventilation, so if you're in here and you have steam out of the shower, or when any other odors that might be in there, they can be vacuumed out with a nice powerful system to keep it all nice and fresh. Okay, so this is the sea berth on the starboard side, midships. It's a very comfortable berth, and you can see by its design that there is easy access with visual and hearing while you're sailing. A great place to the guy that's in charge can relax or sleep and still hear and know what's going on inside the boat. On the port side, we have an aft cabin. It's a single berth. In our case, it's built to keep the wife happy and her own private area to rest and read or enjoy life. It is a very, very comfortable berth. It is almost midships with a hanging locker and lots of storage space. So this is the aft companionway, which is a great place to be able to come back into the boat if you're outside wet, and to hang your foul weather gear in the locker here in the aft head. It's also nice to have it wide open with the hatches up in the tropics, because all of the exhaust air from the boat will obviously go out through here and keep the boat nice and cool. To starboard here, we have another head with a vacuum flush, and it is a complete shower area and easy to keep clean because you can wash the whole place down with the shower. And it also has drain on either tack, so there's no hole in the middle of the shower floor. It'll drain on any tack, port or starboard, as we sail. Again, a custom-made sink that will drain on either tack, and lots of storage space, and great lighting and ventilation. And again, we have mechanical ventilation to keep any steam that's in here being built up, venting it out, or any other odors that might be in here, to keep people happy as we sail. Well, welcome to the engine room on Morning Star. In the engine room on Morning Star, as you can see, is a spacious place for a 60-foot boat. We have on the starboard side a storage area for parts, and then a workbench with a vise, which is really, really handy. And then aft, as you look They have part of the rudder system with carbon fiber rudders, and then we have two shoreside isolators, so when we plug the boat in, we're not plugged into any of the other boats that are on the dock. We can't catch cold that way. We have a 36 BTU chill water air conditioner here, and as well we have DC air conditioning in this engine room. Now, having DC air conditioning in the engine room, which does not run through a converter but directly off the batteries, makes a really nice place for changing oil and doing repairs and what have you in the tropics or in hot areas. And there's no TV in the engine room, but my wife still calls it my man cave, and she may have a point. So the engine room is a hard thing to do on a boat this size, to get everything in, but it has worked out well for us. We have naturally aspirated 65 horsepower Perkins diesels, keeping it simple, and twins. Twins basically means very, very easy to dock the boat, and great for sailing on one engine with the leeward engine and not burning a lot of fuel as we cruise. The fuel system, we have a day tank that is computer controlled for filling as the engines remove the fuel out of it, and the engines pump the fuel back to the ship's tank on a return, keeping the cool fuel coming into the engine and to the injectors as the engines are running. We have 1,000 Raycor, twin 1,000 Raycor filters here with pumps built into them so that we can pump the fuel out of the ship's tank and into the day tank. Each engine has a 320 amp hour alternator for charging the house batteries, along with a 90 amp hour alternator for the start batteries. There is a pump system with an engine, with a pump on the front of the engine with a clutch and an emergency pump switch here, so we can pump all of the bilges in the boat, or any of the 4 watertight compartments with one engine or both engines. The generator that I'm sitting on is a 10 kW, and you can see how soft that it's mounted. I can move it with one finger because this is an aluminum boat and noise does transmit, but we've done a lot of research and a lot of work in trying to keep the boat quiet. The engines are on soft mounts. As you can see, we have direct drive propellers, but they come into a thrust bearing, and the thrust bearing then allows us to take the load off the engine as we power up or go forward and reverse, so the engine is on soft mounts to keep everything quiet. The exhaust system has a water separator in it, and so the seawater that comes in to cool the engines go out through the bottom of the boat, and just air comes out the back of the boat, relieving the back pressure off the exhaust system. The engine room has a fire suppressant system, which is very high tech and as modern as you can get it, along with the seawater coming into the boat through our sea chest over here. There are 2 filters, and there are only 2 areas that the salt water can come into the boat. The whole boat is supplied through the sea chest here, all of the seawater for the air conditioning, cooling, engine cooling, generator, refrigeration, and freezers, and so forth. On the port hand side of the boat is an area where all of the things that purr and whir and make noise are located, such as pumps, air conditioning, water makers, compressor for blowing the ship's horn or blowing up the dinghy, another bilge pump, and some of the autopilot systems are over there. It is a easy engine room to work in, and above me is 2 hatches. They are part of the cockpit seating area, but they are mechanically lifted by pushing a button in the pilot house, and the door is open, and you can air out the engine room once you reach your destination and get it nice and cool quickly, or you can remove the engines if you need to do an engine change or parts. It keeps all of the noise and heat out of the boat by having the engines aft, and it makes for a very, very comfortable boat ride.